is my first live on Bullhorn Betty 2.0. I don't know how it works out there in La La Land when you're kind of going live for the first time from your channel. But I see people coming in. It's great to see you. I don't know how many people are new to who I am. I am Bullhorn Betty, and I cover true crime. Oh, thank you, Jules. I don't know how you guys do that. I got to figure that out whenever I'm on here, how to put that thing on top of my head. But anyways, I love you guys. You guys are amazing. So I did a live from my regular channel this morning, and I realized that we have made it well over 1,000 new subs on this 2.0 channel, and thought, well, what better way to come out here than be on Mother's Day, right? You beautiful ladies need some entertainment. And you know what? Whenever you think your life is kind of in the pits, we can look at this family here and say that our day is doing much better. As crappy as that sounds, it's the truth. The title of this, Happy Mother Day. And I had some people, well, I think it was like one or two people on my YouTube channel that had a problem with my thumbnail this morning. And that's okay. That's okay. So this week, a new timeline came out from News Nation, and this News Nation article was literally littered with mistakes. We had a lot of breaking news this week over the last 7 days, from Nancy Grace polygraph confirmation for Seth Rogers, just to clear it up, because I realized in my other live I said Sebastian and not Seth, so I want make sure that everybody understands what I'm saying. Seth Rogers, to date, is literally the only person that we've been able to corroborate has passed a lie detector test. And I want to repeat that again. To date, Seth Rogers, the biological father to Sebastian Rogers, is the only person we have been able to corroborate that has passed his polygraph. We have never been able to corroborate. Katie has passed her polygraph. We have never been able to corroborate that Chris has taken and or passed his polygraph. The only people making those statements are Chris and or Katie. We haven't really received any of that from a reliable source. Statements came out. Thank you, Jen. God bless you. Can you believe we're going live from our 2.0 channel? That's awesome. In less than a week. I think we hit our numbers in like 4 days to be able to go live. I thought that was awesome. I feel the love. I feel the love from the TikTok true crime community, I gotta say. The one downfall, well, there was three, I think, major issues that happened in the last 7 days that kind of foiled any type of work or, working together of Chris and Katie Proudfoot. And that was, Nancy Grace kind of spilt the beans on something she really wasn't, in all fairness, really wasn't supposed to. Let me see if I can find my thumbnail. I went through here and deleted a whole bunch of stuff, so I think my thumbnail is going to be too big for you guys to see, but I'm going to go ahead and put it up anyways. And it's this one right here. I'm upset with Nancy Grace, and it's because when Seth took the polygraph test, he had a polygraph examiner give him the test. You got to bare your soul to the guy, okay? Or the woman. Whoever's giving you that test, you basically got to tell him your whole life stories and not lie about it. Even the ugly parts, right? Those skeletons that we don't want the world to know about. Well, we got to kind of bare our souls to that polygraph examiner. And at the end of that, he had asked Seth some questions, such as, what do you think happened? Oh, I think I found it. There it is. What do you think happened to your son? And Seth told him that he thought his mother may have given him too much of his prescription because maybe he was having a hard time that evening going to bed. And so that was one, and Seth, as well as his spokesperson, spoke to Nancy Grace's team, and they were going to edit that out, but it just so happened to accidentally get put back in. So, I've done accidents like that before myself, so I understood it. And so it got me a little upset with Nancy Grace. You know, she's a big girl. She can handle some criticism, but I just thought it was wrong. I actually was not really angry with her because she's obviously a media person, so anything they can find out, they're going to put out. I was more upset with the polygraph examiner because that's the one that owed Seth the duty of confidence, and he did not do that. Another thing is I went back to the beginning of the case, and there's a video. This is my third video on this particular channel, and it's Katie Bites. It's the only one that has like 17,000 views. If you have not watched that, you're going to want to watch that. That right there is something I didn't see at the beginning that I saw when Pat Brown, the criminal profiler, videotaped it, because she just went old-fashioned. She didn't know how to screen record, so she took her phone and stuck it up there. And because she was so close, I could actually see Katie's tongue. And I about fell over when I seen her bite her tongue. After she just laughed, because that was a nervous bite, like, oh crap, I just made another mistake. Or, oh crap, Chris is going to be mad at me for that. You know, something like on the lines of that. There's some stuff going out, you know, around Seth's mom. I don't really want to get into that. It's Mother's Day. But I think on my other channel, and you can go to YouTube and watch my last video, I think I kind of touched on that as much as I really want to touch on that. I think that Seth's mom needs a break. I hope everybody, you know, is a little kinder to her. Today's Mother's Day, and she's missing her grandson. So no matter how we feel or what we think we may know, it may not be what it seems, is all I'm saying. Law enforcement, there was an article that came out that basically said, it was from a news source, I can't remember which one out there, but it was a local one. And they have been trying to reach out, and law enforcement's not giving them any updates. So they basically said there are no new updates on the whereabouts of Sebastian Rogers. We get down to the dog searchers. You know, we were told that Chris, hey, Skies, it's nice to see you. We get down to Sebastian's, aw, thank you guys. The dog searchers. We had a crackpot dog searcher. It was a phony call in for JS for Justice, the Steph one, the one that was a blabbering fool that just couldn't control herself. I think people are starting to speculate now and say, oh, that's part of Chris's crew. The Proudfoot Center. I'm not making fun, but I don't think, like, we can't blame Chris and Katie for everything, guys. I'd like to, but we can't. So, you know, I truly believe this is just a case where somebody has some mental health issues and needed, you know, some attention, needed to get some crying out, you know, needed to, you know, obviously a very ultra sensitive person that just, and she kept saying she's with law enforcement. I'm like, man, a law enforcement person's got, like, she's crying and stuff. And I'm like, so I'm trying to listen to it. I remember when I was listening to it, I had to stop, but you don't want to be rude. You know, I can't go out there and say, well, this, I can kind of understand why Chris kicked this one off the... Sorry, guys. It's hard not to laugh at some of this stuff. This stuff is just insane. This case, you know, it does have way too much drama. It's turning into a circus. I want to say it's turning into a circus, but I think it's been a circus for, you know, since the United Cajun Navy came into town. Like, I think that was the first of a really poor spiraling effect of this case, and the damage that, you know, like, even these people, they go and get these nonprofits and they think, oh, I'm a nonprofit, so I have to be good. No, that doesn't mean anything. It literally is just an application process, and if you put all the checks in all the boxes, you're going to be getting yourself a nonprofit. You see what I'm saying? It's really all there is to it. And then we had a whole bunch of threats from Chris Proudfoot that were leaked. And lastly, lastly for this crew, because I'm going to see who may or may not have seen this on this particular channel, because I'm going to put this up on my second channel on Facebook, YouTube. I have a second channel on YouTube as well, so everything I do on this second channel is going to go on that second channel, and everything I do on my main channel is going to go on my main channel on YouTube. So that's how you guys can tell them apart. So, Paul, there is a new name that is coming up, and I don't know if this is legit or if this is like a person trolling or trying to trigger somebody or just trying to get attention or just trying to create a red herring. I'm completely oblivious to whether that be the case, okay? Because this person is saying, Christopher Proudfoot, can you let everyone know who your friend Paul is? I'm sure you remember him, right? And that's kind of a cryptic message, but see, inside these comments here is another cryptic message. And that cryptic message basically says, where was your friend Paul the night Sebastian disappeared? Again, feels really, really trolly, you know? It doesn't feel like this is legit. And people were questioning this person, and he kept baiting them and kept, like, it wasn't Chris asking him, it was all other people saying, why are you going to leave us like that? Who are you talking about? Oh, he knows, that kind of stuff, just kind of baiting you into the conversation. And so we have no idea who this anonymous member is. I truly feel that Chris and Katie probably have multiple accounts that they're using to spy on, which is just a level of creepy, and it just kind of makes you feel like they've got so much to hide, because, like, who does that, right, when you have a missing child? But I do believe they are. And so it's just another cryptic message that people are kind of now starting to speculate on who this Paul is, you know, and of course with the revelation inside these comments that Paul may actually, you know, we need to be focusing on him the night that Sebastian disappeared. So I don't know, you know, I guess we can just throw that out there, because you never know who watches these videos and who's going to come across this and say, I know Chris Proudfoot and I know exactly who this Paul guy is, right? So if you're that person, right, reach out to bullhornbetty@gmail.com. If you think this guy has something to do with anything to do with Sebastian, this Paul guy, you know, obviously reach out to law enforcement first, but then of course reach out to Bullhorn Betty second. Just saying, you know, just saying. Okay, and then lastly, this is it. We got stuff going around. I don't know if Chris and Katie are staying at Yogi Bear or not. We have a new vehicle. If you look right down here where my finger is, up, and every time I move it, it gets, I don't know how to do that. But anyways, you guys see that, right? There's a new vehicle down here. I don't know whose vehicle that is. Happy Mother's Day to all my beautiful, 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 beautiful mothers. There's a car, an unknown vehicle, and if you see how it's parked exactly the way the work truck's parked. Like as if it belongs there, as if it's a new vehicle. You would ask, like, why is it not in the garage? I have no earthly idea why it would not be in the garage. Is it somebody house sitting that parks out there, or you know, I don't know. All I can tell you is I go through all this stuff. I see whatever everybody's posting out. People are saying could be a rental. Somebody's saying it could be a rental. Yeah. There's a whole host of things it could be. But it seems like they're kind of going. Does anybody kind of get the feeling that they're trying to go stealth? Like they're trying to like be invisible? You know, they're trying to be invisible behind the scenes. Of course, that's never going to work because Chris can't control his mouth or his temper or really anything. Probably why the courts asked for him to go to anger management. But it didn't help. I can tell you that. His personality is not going to be helped. He doesn't want help. But I also sat there and said that I felt like something happened to Chris. Like when he was a kid, I felt like there was a traumatic event that happened in his life that changed the direction of his life. And I even said, I don't know if it was like a loss of a father, abuse himself. What happened in Chris's life to make him the way he is? And one of the great things about going back to the beginning of any case is that you're reviewing some things that you may have forgotten about. Because in the beginning of the case, things move at such a fast pace, and you're trying to keep up, you're trying to tread the news. And then you get kind of to a spot where things start slowing down, and you're starting to hear people that you weren't listening to before because you're not focused on this one area. So then you got like neighbors or other people in the community coming forward and talking about this and talking about that, and then you're kind of going, you forgot about all this stuff up here, and then you remember all this stuff back here but forget all this stuff up here. So when we go back to the beginning, it kind of marries the two a little bit. And one of the things that I learned about Chris, even though I've seen this document before, I've looked at this document, it was related to an old work altercation that he had with one of the other employees, where he may have threatened them, and I didn't take a screenshot of it, unfortunately. But we'll put this up behind us so we can at least see and advocate for what we're all talking about anyways, instead of seeing, Chris and Katie's house. It was, what was I just lost track of what I was just saying. I know I'm going to go on a little bit of a long tail on this one, but I forgot. Ended up getting lost. Losing track of time. I know I was talking about their house, and I'll get back to it in a second. I'm curious why no more dogs allowed on the property. Well, basically, this is the thing. Basically, they're saying that, and somebody can remind me what I was talking about too, if you don't mind, so I can get back to it. One of the things with the dogs is they're basically saying that they've had every dog imaginable on their property. They don't want it looked through again. What else? What is somebody else going to find that they haven't? Thank you, Lake Girl. That they haven't. Let me write that down. Work issue. What they haven't already searched. And my answer to that, it will always go back to the Brian Laundrie case, because that was the most epic search I had ever been part of. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those epic searches that, the footage that I got from that stuff, people have never seen. I mean, literally, I've never really reviewed it. It kind of, I've been so busy ever since Gabby Petito, I haven't really gone back and reviewed it. And I bet you there's some amazing photos and videos. And I was taking a lot of images back then versus videos. And so you're talking about probably some spectacular shots that I had. But getting back to the work issue, we learned that, with Chris's background, I knew that there was something there. And now I'm starting to get a picture because of this thing that I saw, this document I saw about this work incident and altercation that happened, a verbal altercation. It didn't sound like it turned physical or anything. But one of the things that was established, one of the notable items in that complaint that was established is Chris has a disability. He has a learning, he classified it or stated it as a learning disability. And so it's kind of starting to develop like, maybe he was picked on as a kid. He was probably made to feel like kind of how he makes Sebastian feel, it sounds like. Now, I don't know if that's the major pivotal situation that happened in his life that made his life change or not. Like I feel like there was, because the stuff that we're exhibiting and we're seeing Chris show is learned behavior. And where did he learn it from? He had most likely, and if he lived in his mom or dad's house, he would have learned it from how he was raised in many cases. So I don't know. I think the reason why they won't let the dogs on there, I don't necessarily believe it's because they're going to find something on their property. I think it's just because they, in their mind, believe that everybody has already, and who knows, they may have, since all these investigations and stuff, moved stuff, because I don't know if anybody, it's hard for anybody to grasp the fact that one of two of those parents are not involved. Because in our minds, you know, we're watching and listening to a child go into a home, but a child, there's no evidence, there's not one scintilla of evidence that this child ever exited that home. Not on video. Nobody saw him. Nobody saw him walking down the road. No videos captured him. When you listen to the statement of the mom and the stepfather, you hear that he was in all black clothing, of all things to be wearing. What are the coincidences? What are the odds that he would run away in all black clothing from head to toe? You know, and then not to have scent. The only scent you really have is up there on the by the front door, and we can corroborate by neighbors that he went to the front door earlier the day that he was out at BJ's and had this fantastic day on Sunday. It's hard for us to wrap our head around that, and then to see Chris's behavior and to hear how he tries to control a situation and a narrative when the pressure is on. He starts trying to be angry and trying to use acts of intimidation and scolding and almost like a parenting, if you will, of the people around him, predominantly females. I haven't heard him talk to males to the same degree that I've heard him speak to women. And that really does define how Chris Proudfoot, which tells me a lot. He didn't have a very good relationship with his mother growing up. I can tell you that right now, just based on everything that I'm seeing. Because if he had a good relationship with his mother, there is no way he would ever treat a woman or speak to a woman this way. We all know that. I guarantee there's a man right now watching this somewhere, or will. And I guarantee you there is no way that if he has respect for his mother that he could ever talk or treat a woman with such disrespect. It just doesn't happen. It is very suspicious. Yep. CP had encountered someone at work. Yep. I'm still curious. Okay, I think we got that. So that's kind of where I'm at. And then I found out that this Dara saw Sebastian. It didn't sound like, from everything I was reading, that Katie, I mean, I don't quite understand why Katie went there, but I guess it was just for a quick pickup, because it sounds like, and this is where it gets a little more confusing and complicated, because when we hear Dara's story, and when we hear Melissa's story, they don't bode in line with Katie Proudfoot's story. What do I mean by that? Okay, well, first of all, we never, the green shirt interview and the hands interview, we never even knew that there was anybody, she had spent any time with anybody that Sunday before. I know she was on like maybe a smaller channel or two, I can't remember. And then Olivia came into town, and Olivia had an opportunity to interview them, and she sat down with them and started talking to them about her son. She did a great video on them as well. And Katie introduced two things, I think, at that one, and it was the cousin. She looks over at Chris and says, I went and picked up the cousin at so-and-so time, which doesn't, to be honest with you, I think she fully was deceptive there, unless Dara is a family member. Is Dara, if anybody knows, Dara Nebel, I think is the name. If she is a family member, or is she a friend of the family? Karen, you might know this. I don't know if you know this or not, but I see you in here. So I don't know if you know who Dara is. Is it just a friend or is it a family member? But anyways, it sounds like she went to Dara's house first And it says here that Katie picked up 2 of Dara's daughters when she visited that Sunday. Well, she said nothing about these 2 daughters. She said she went and picked up one of Sebastian's cousins. One. And it wasn't until Nancy Gray's show that we learned that she actually had 2 aunts and a cousin. And the way I'm looking at it here is it says KP picked up 2 of Dara's daughters, and they even described this thing because apparently Dara's daughters are the cheerleader type, and there was somebody that had a disgusting post like Sebastian is not supposed to ride in a car with, fairly looking. It was a little odd with the post. It was very insulting. But then you hear KP's sister, which is Melissa, talking about them taking them out shopping. So is it 2 nieces and an aunt? Or is it 2 aunts and a niece? And were Melissa's kids with her? Does Melissa even have kids? So who was at the BJ store with them? Is that the shopping that Melissa is talking about? I thought Dora was the aunt. Okay, so the aunt to Sebastian. So these are 2 different aunts. So why is she picking up? What happened to the other cousin then? Because it says KP picked up 2 of Dora's daughters, but we only heard of Dora, Melissa, and 1 cousin, not 2. So that's another inconsistency that I'm seeing, because that statement there was a statement I found from Dara herself. Melissa and Christy. Somebody's saying Chris only has 2 sisters, Melissa and Christy. So I'm wondering who Dara is. And I know somebody knows it, and I know that they've already discussed this early on in the case because, like I said, I'm going back to the beginning, and there's some things that I completely missed at the beginning of this case because I was looking for Sebastian. I wasn't really trying to get into, at the beginning of this case, I truly thought that I was being too harsh on the parents. And now I feel like I wasn't being harsh enough because I should have approached them a lot sooner. I should have gotten my questions answered a lot quicker. I had a lot of fact-finding questions from his state of mind to the times that they left their house, to the times they got to certain spots, who was with them, who was at home, did anybody come home with them that day, what doors did they enter, just a whole host of questions that was going to help me build a timeline. Because one of the things that I do with the timeline is also look at, is there anybody else that could be in that timeline? You're dealing with a medically needy person. They were out at several, business establishments. Is it possible that somebody could have been following them? Is it possible that somebody was paying an extra close attention to? But those were the questions I had up front. And that was that was when I felt uncomfortable about Katie and Chris's behavior. Now I'm just completely, utterly appalled by it. You can't get any worse of a poor display of parenting than we have witnessed from Katie and Chris. There's no excuse for that. I'm sorry. You can say people can grieve in different ways all day long. Grieving is one thing, but you have to grieve in order to have differences in grieving. And you're not looking at 2 people truly grieving. The only time you ever hear them crying is when stuff's leaked about them. The only time you hear them upset or anything is when it's slapped at their door, not when it has something to do with Sebastian. When it has something to do with them, then they're upset. When it has something to do that humiliates Chris Proudfoot, then he goes on these panels and screams at people. When something comes out about his wife, then he goes on these panels and screams at people and tries to control the outcome of somebody else's behavior. But it's never for Sebastian. It's always for them. It's always for their self-preservation and their self-preservation alone. And that is my biggest problem with this entire story. I just want parents to love their children, and when they go missing, we don't expect them to have a PhD in missing children. I think instinctually, we kind of expect parents to actually look like they care about their child and move heaven and earth to find their child. I don't think that's asking too much from an outsider looking in when parents are missing a child. Like, you're coming to me, a social media creator, because I'm part of the social media, culture that they came to ask for help. And so if you're going to expect me to help you, I expect you to help yourself. And they're not helping themselves. They're using and abusing every single person to get something for nothing to aid. But they don't want to actually pony it up or do the work themselves. And that is, I don't know. I don't know how you as an audience feel about it, but me as a creator, I think it's disgusting, personally speaking. Just saying. I truly think it's disgusting. So if anybody knows Chris Proudfoot and knows maybe any Paul in his life, any love interest, we don't know who Paul is. That people are throwing that out there. There's nothing wrong with it, right? See, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, your wife might find something a little funky with that, but for the most part, I mean, it's 2024, nothing wrong with that. Side pieces are side pieces. So, I mean, they're talking, some people's comments were, it could be a side piece. You can't make this stuff up. I'm not saying that. Just to let you know, it's not coming from me. These are things in the comments. Let me read them so you know it's not me. Okay? We got secret undercover, undercover with an L, right? I don't know if I can see that on here. I'm sure I can. Undercover lover. Special friend. A helper, an old Navy buddy. They said, well, maybe he's the snake man, a brother, an uncle. I'm going to throw out there, or other family member. And then the last one was another construction worker. So those are kind of the thoughts from the people that saw this post about this friend, this Paul guy that Chris apparently knows, and they're implying that this Paul guy was doing something the night that Sebastian was missing. This is what I'm going to say about that post. And if people are just coming in and you're wanting to know what post am I talking about, I'm talking about this one right here. This post was posted by an anonymous member, and as you can see, 67 people have commented on it. Of course, I went through every single one of the comments that were here when I took this photo. And, there's this Paul guy. My personal opinion on this Paul guy and this whole thing in general is this is a missing boy. This is not a game. This is a autistic and medically needy missing boy. And if this poster was really being serious, I don't think he would be going through all of these little games. This right here seems so Chris Proudfoot. I don't even know how to express it. Because this is the kind of stuff that Don Wells played, and I kind of think that Chris Proudfoot is Don Wells 2.0. Now, I don't know if this is somebody that he's friends with, if this is somebody from another channel that is pro Chris Proudfoot. I feel like this is just to make people a distraction, if you will. Because personally, I think with this person being anonymous member, and posting anonymously, that gave them the anonymity to actually post the truth. They didn't need to do this vagueness. They didn't need to be cryptic in their messaging. And I have to look at it. Would you be cryptic in a message if you were trying to get some serious information out about somebody that's missing a child? I don't know if you would, especially if you already have the anonymity. And so that's where my problem is. Do I feel like this is legit or a red herring? Right now, the way it feels in my gut, yeah, I do. I feel like this is a distraction and not something that we should be paying attention to, me personally. I know there's going to be people that dive in and try to locate Paul. I'm not going to be one of those people. I'm sure if one of those people dive in and find a link, I'm pretty sure everybody on the social media platforms will know about it. So I'm going to leave that to all those people that want to go through here and, dive into Chris's life. I don't think this Paul guy, 60 days later, coming into the investigation is going to have a whole lot of weight. Typically, in an investigation like this, you get the majority of all the information you are going to acquire in that first 48 hours, okay? For the true crime community, it's literally probably, I don't know, the first week or two. We're going to acquire literally as much information in that first week or two that we're most likely going to get in bulk in one of these cases. You know, the longer it goes on, I mean, of course, you're requesting stuff and getting more information, but your bulk of info, your intel, usually comes, at least for me, in that first 2 weeks that I get into a case. So we're past all of that. We're past all of that. Now, granted, there may be a new lead that comes in that takes us into a different, but to have a whole new name just introduced out of the blue, I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna sit out, you know, a little bit and see if this becomes fruitful. Yes, we're live on the new channel. Yes. It's kind of funny because I started out with one channel on each platform, and now we're, you know, I've got a total of 3 channels on one. I've got 3 channels on here, plus other social media. So we're growing. And it's not growth that I really wanted to do. I wasn't prepared to have all these channels right now. You know, smart growth is one thing, but some of this stuff I was kind of forced into. And, you know, I can't complain. You know, some of these bad actors don't realize that by their actions, they actually make things a little bit better. I don't know. We'll see. I can tell you I'm working more now than I've ever worked. What channel am I supposed to be on? Oh, I'm going to need a secretary soon, okay? We need a budget of secretary next year, okay? Because I don't know which way is up and down anymore, okay? But I do know, don't worry, guys. I promise you, if I have a missing child, okay? I don't know anything about nothing, but I promise you, if I have a missing child, I at least have the wherewithal to get my butt up out of bed and go outside of my house and actually, like, pull some bushes aside and, you know, kind of look for the kid. You know, I'm not military trained, so maybe they have this supersonic secret method that, you know, military people use from the comfort of their camper. Maybe they have some new technology. Maybe this is it. Oh my God. Why didn't I think about that? They were in the military, guys. They have, you know, military grade equipment. I bet you they have invisibility suits. You know what? I bet you that's it. You know, did you guys ever watch The Invisible Man? I bet you they have the technology. I bet you Katie and Chris are the betas. I bet you they're the betas. Yep. You know why we didn't see them out there? They were wearing the suits. See? Every one of us were lying. Every last one of us were lying. You know what? The Proudfoots were right. The Proudfoots were right. They were up there. Why weren't we thinking about that? They're military, y'all. I bet you they have the military grade invisible suits. We wouldn't even be able to see them without, you know, thermal imaging. Did we have thermal imaging out there? Did we have thermal imaging out there, damn it? You guys you broke the internet saying Katie and Chris weren't out there and nobody even checked the thermal imaging? They were right there! Didn't you see them? I want one of those suits. Nobody thought to bring the baby powder. You know, if you guys would just squirt a little baby powder up in the air, you would have seen them. How dare you? How dare you turn the internet upside down for this nonsense? Nobody brought the I need to stop. I could go off on all day. So now that we know that Chris and Katie aren't the Invisible Man, I would have to assume, you know, that awful, awful word. Actually, it's not assuming at this point, it's corroborated, that they have not been out there to post flyers or any type of searches. They don't need Seth to do searches. And Chris's response about, oh, I'm not going to get a whole bunch of people to search, that's kind of what people do. You know, they like to go out in force because they're all together, and if anybody gets injured, they can all help each other. They can cover more land. But, you know, military trained individuals would know the value of teamwork, that teamwork that they didn't want to be part of. So we have to look at all these things involved. You know, at the end of the day, it truly is about Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. And I feel really bad for him because I feel like he, you know, now we're kind of understanding why Chris felt like the abused becomes the abuser, because I truly believe that's how Chris became who he is. I believe something happened to Chris, and because of those scars, he's turned into the man that he is today. He has become the person that hurt him the most. That's what I truly believe. And because of that, this little boy right here, something probably happened to him. And I can't, all I can say at this point is I can corroborate in my heart and on the fact sheet that this boy walked into 1008 Stafford. What I can't tell my audience is that this boy willingly walked out of that home anytime from the time he entered that home to the time he was found gone. We have no neighbors. We have no film. We have no photos. We have no gas station film. We have no school film. We have no film out of the construction site. You know, some of those garbage trucks, many people don't realize they have cameras in the back ends of them. So they can literally see when they're dumping garbage, what's being dumped. So they can go back and review film. I don't know if they've done that. You know, there's a lot, and out of everything, there's no sign of this boy, this autistic boy that is special needs, that doesn't have the wherewithal to orchestrate such an elusive action or series of actions. It doesn't make sense. And by the way, he did it all the while with no food, shoes, or any resources. That's a pretty resourceful, mentally and physically disabled child. I mean, you're talking about, and I went back to some videos just to hear, you know, how he spoke. And even if his physical appearance wasn't that of someone that you think has disabilities, as soon as you heard him speak, you knew he did. There's no mistaking the way he speaks is not the way a 15-year-old child normally sounds, if that makes sense. So there's no mistaking this boy. And that kind of bodes in with me. Don't know the context in which he told his grandmother. Don't know the context in which he told his grandmother. Sorry, can you guys hear me? My mom was just calling in and I accidentally answered the phone and hung up on my mom on Mother's Day. So I think I'm going to go ahead and shut this live a little short because I don't want to miss my mommy. I've been trying to get a hold of her since this morning, so I need to call her back and wish her a happy Mother's Day. But just know that it doesn't appear that he's gone in. It does appear we've got some things going on in Christopher's background that kind of explains a little bit about why he's the way he is and his behaviors and stuff like that. And I'm still working on that. And we'll see you guys soon. So God bless. Yay! Our first live on the new channel. Yay! Thank you guys for being here. What a success. 60 people. 60 people over here. God bless you guys. God bless you guys. Have a happy Mother's Day and rock it out with your coffee beans out. Love you guys. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment for your favorite content creator. Yours truly, me.